Oh no, we'll definitely get into that conversation today. I think that DeFi is going to be the new normal, honestly, in the future. And I mean, I know a lot of people are skeptical on it now, but it's just because it's nascent, just like crypto and digital assets in its early days. People were skeptical. Now people are starting to become a lot more comfortable. And DeFi is a new niche inside crypto within itself that's already an unregulated, you know, environment, and people not in crypto, they only see it from the outside in as a scam or as a money laundering project because that's how it's portrayed to the general public. And they don't see the opportunity that we have right now in DeFi to earn this type of yield. It's the same type of, well, it's not the same type of yield, but it is yield that these financial institutions have had access to pretty much since the entire financial system has existed. And now, for the first time through DeFi, retail traders with very small amounts of money can access this new financial system and earn yield 365, every second of every single day. And so people are sleeping on that. I mean, honest to God, they truly are.
Bro, they're sleeping tough, man. Last night,
I
was on a,
oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, last night I was on a call with you guys know who Gary Cardone is? Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone's brother, yeah.
Yeah, they're like twins. Well, these guys are clueless to DeFi, and these guys are multimillionaires and billionaires. And they were on a live last night on X debating on how Bitcoin is better than XRP and just like totally missing what's really going on. Having these guys, debate about nerd talk, and these guys are not even engineers or developers, so they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wrote this long, like I was on the live too, and I started talking, and that fucker Mickle, he was getting owned, and I was trying to get his back, and this guy cut me off, and then they kicked me off the live. But man, DeFi is the reason why I keep telling DeFi is the reason why these institutions are coming to crypto. There's no other reason why. You know what I mean?
That is true.
And you brought up a good point. Not only the yields that you see with crypto, but I'm gonna share something today that's absolutely explosive because we're now entering a debt issuance, and I have a lot to say about debt issuance because this is the main role of the Federal Reserve and the dollar is to produce debt. And what I'm going to share on Flare Networks is going to blow your guys' minds.
I'm excited. Well, with that being said, I'll add on to that. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video breakdown. Today, we're just going to be doing a general overview and talk on Flare Network, DeFi, the total crypto ecosystem, and just what's really happening behind the scenes. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed the conversation so far. I want to give Carl a second here, who was our guest on the Wealth 28 Club today, some time to introduce himself. But obviously, of course, you got Aqua, our co-host here, and then myself, CYPRX. We really do appreciate you guys for tuning back in. If you're watching this as a Wealth 28 Club member, let's just take a second and really understand who it is that we're talking to. An individual who has been in this space since 2012, has a lot of insights and a lot of valuable information to discuss with you guys today. So we really hope that you guys enjoy this conversation, pick it apart. Obviously, of course, teach his own. Always do your own research and make sure that you guys don't just take our word for what it is that we're talking about here. Go and do your own research after you watch these videos. Enlighten yourself, enlighten your friends, enlighten your family members, because that is how everything that we're talking about is not only going to materialize into the real world, but allow you as an individual market participant to really elevate yourself in this digital asset ecosystem. This market is not just about buying and holding. It's not just about buying and trading. We are going to be able to earn and generate passive income in these markets to pay ourselves of every single second, every single day. But you have to know how to do so in a mature, strategic, risk mitigated fashion. It's not get rich quick. All right. So I just wanted to start off with that intro. Blessings to you guys. Welcome back. So Carl, if you don't mind, just kind of, just doing a brief overview of who you are and kind of just a short introduction of yourself, my friend.
Yeah. So, I go back in the mid 80s when I actually entered digital assets, but let me explain. It was even before crypto because I was a broker that was trading mailing lists, And I was basically aggregating these lists through the phone book, through these directories, and compiling them and selling them and then trading them. But the problem of double spend existed. So you would have multiple duplicates of the same person, over and over and over. And this became a problem. But they also had software that would undupe those lists, so it would eliminate the double spend. But the double spend basically became birthed out of Bitcoin. But just to give you an overall background, I'm basically 35 years plus auto designer slash engineer out of Detroit. I've since migrated north up to Wisconsin, 10 plus years to care for an ailing mother. And now after about 10 years, I'm back down here in Florida with my love of my life. And she loves crypto like I do, and we're pumping each other's bags.
There you go. Absolutely. So how long have you been involved in crypto, Carl?
Well, prior to 2012, I actually had a Facebook page that didn't get much traction when I created it. I think that was like 2010, but I was a big Bitcoin fan, but I had some major personal problems with divorce and that really prevented me from being a major player. But I was talking about Bitcoin and a promoter of Bitcoin prior to $50, and actually sold my first bag of Bitcoin for $500. So do I wish I still had my Bitcoin? Of course. But am I regretting? No, not at all, because it's all a learning process. In fact, I keep migrating because I'm a big fan of tech. So I'm looking at these things are evolving, right? Mm-hmm. And my bags keep moving.
I like that. I like that. Not marrying a bias, not regretting the past, and just kind of moving with the innovative tide. I like that. You can't. It's just like in day trading. Something I learned is you can't reflect on trades that you might have missed or messed up on. You have to always look forward towards the future and what you can progress on and how you can advance as an individual. So I like that mentality from you, because I'm the same way. I still own 2 Bitcoins myself, but I had a couple of them. I started my investment journey started right at the end of 2016. It was actually December 2016 when I bought my first Bitcoin and XRP. And then I think I sold some in like 2017, and then also just a little bit, not a lot. And then also in 2019, when I got heavily involved in moving from, okay, this is just something that somebody told me to buy, because that's how I got involved. I had a mentor that was like, hey, you should buy some Bitcoin with some of your money. And so it went from that to actually understanding the ins and outs of how to trade and how to really build a portfolio and not just be a person that has an application, buying and just holding for no reason because you don't really truly understand the technology. And especially since the first 2 assets that I bought were Bitcoin and XRP, my portfolio list has grown significant because I've done research and because I've realized that there's so much more out there, so many more problems that are being solved by other blockchains and networks and whatnot. And so same as you, just kind of moving with the tides and really diving into understanding that the future financial system is all going to run on blockchain and digital asset rails. So we're going to dive into Flare. Now, Carl has a very deep understanding of Flare. So for someone completely new to Flare, Carl, how would you explain its importance to the future of Web3 and the broader shift in our financial system? Now, Flare is, I'd say, relatively new, right? Its DeFi ecosystem is relatively new. It's not an OG asset. So for someone listening that doesn't know anything about Flare, or maybe does and needs to hear a little bit more, how would you kind of explain Flare to them, why it's so important to be paying attention to?
Yeah, see, like any successful company, the priority is always data. It always falls back. You look at any of the FANG companies that succeeded. It was the data that propelled them. We're entering that kind of in the digital space because Flare has positioned itself as the blockchain for data. Therefore, what they've done is something unique, and they have embedded that Oracle. Well, there's more than one Oracle, but I can get into the Flare data connector as well. But they have a unique Flare time series Oracle that has over 100 validators that also handle the decentralization of the data metrics coming on chain. So the Flare data connector is also an Oracle that is taking Web 2, Web 3 data and interpreted it on chain in a decentralized fashion. These are the two data metrics mostly needed in order to enhance smart contracts. And it's really the latency is very important and not relying on a third party. So there's numerous benefits to having this on-chain functionality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I'm starting to see, and just to pick up kind of what you were talking about data being this almost like the new oil in a sense, is kind of the way that I'm seeing it. Like data, all these Web 2 applications like Instagram, Twitter, I mean, just any pretty much Web 2 application that you can resurface on your cell phone or your mobile device or your internet. It requires a vast amount of data processing to even exist, right? And I mean, it's like quintillions of bytes of data or something crazy like that, isn't it? And so, um, I've heard Hugo Filion actually, because you were talking about oracles. I was watching an interview with him the other day. He's publicly mentioned that no other blockchain can match Flare's capabilities, especially regarding oracle services like for example, he's publicly called out Chainlink and Pyth, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So, like, what is your opinion on that type of statement, and what do you think makes Flare more superior in that area when it comes to data? When it comes to, and you,
Yeah,
by the way, Paul, you can share your screen at any point in time if you would like to. Just let me know, and I can you can hit present down at the bottom. You should be able to, and then we can add your screen to the.
Yeah, sure. Basically, I can go off the cuff without screen sharing, but I do have some material later on that I can share. But
Sure.
off the cuff, I can just tell you that the latency is very important in when it's regarding data, and the FTSO can present the data within a second and a half. Now, because you have this third party, you're also presenting cost as a major issue because these other networks are not presenting the data free of charge. But that's not the big part. The big part is the risk, because developers and users do not know what to expect where the risks lie. So when they're building these products, they have to take into a lot of things into account that they normally don't have to just using Flare. And because there is slashing involved in the staking mechanism with Flare, you literally have a not just an incentive through these infrastructure providers are using the data as the means of decentralizing price action on the chain, but you can slash them, and you can also because they have stake at risk. This allows you to basically in a decentralized fashion have authority over them. So there's a lot of reasons why this is going to become a very important issue. And actually, debt, when it comes to borrowing and lending, you have to have an on-chain oracle, or else what's already happened with Chainlink, and I'll tell you, people were liquidated because all of a sudden the price changed, or the network came down, but the price is still moving. No, you can't have that. You can't have a big price drop all of a sudden and everybody gets liquidated because you have this additional risk. And it's fair to say that it's not as decentralized because the main functionality is still going to be the multi-sig. There could be collusion. So Flare has eliminated any collusion. They did have that problem at first. I'll put that out there. but the version 3 upgrade eliminated that because of how they redesigned the metrics.
Yeah. So I heard you mention FTSO. So like some people might not understand those acronyms. So what Carl was just talking about, because again, the question was just like, how does Flare's data acquisition protocols, how does it make it stand out? You guys can go directly to their website. This is FTSO, and you can click learn more. I highly suggest that you guys read on these. And then Carl also mentioned the data connector. And it'll just take you to these web browsers where you can go and you can dive in a little bit deeper. This is the website that it'll take you to. Give me a second. And you can see here, it just gives you a clear description of what this is. So it says the Flare time series Oracle is Flare's enshrined Oracle that provides fast, decentralized, and high accurate time series data, such as cryptocurrency prices, to applications on Flare. Now, what really started to spark my interest about this is just how like nonchalant and how this isn't getting any media attention. Like, so here's the video clip. I just want to play it real fast so you guys can hear it. But this is an interview on Blockster YouTube. This is from 2 months ago. And this is the video clip I heard of Hugo Filion directly saying, like, the guy asked him, if you don't mind me, like, putting some names on the spot, like, kind of like what oracles suck. and Hugo Filion literally says Chainlink, like, has these issues and Flare does it better. And I just feel like in the crypto space, that's usually like, those are usually like fighting words. Like in crypto Twitter, like when another CEO calls another project out, that usually gets a lot of, attention. But this got none. And so I'm starting to wonder, like, is Flare really a sleeper? And nobody's talking about this stuff. So I'm going to play that video clip real fast, and then we can maybe pick it apart. But just listen real fast.
This is the Oracle. Now we're talking about the Oracle.
The Oracle system.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Oracle companies, whatever you want to call them.
Like,
If I'm an Oracle, if I'm an Oracle,
sure.
the data that I collect is from a diverse set.
Not really, no.
Carefully selected.
No.
No?
Not really.
Okay.
Amongst the largest Oracle providers, the worst provided price has 5 participants. That's not very many.
Okay, and do you want to name some names? Or
what do you mean? There's 2 major Oracle providers, Chainlink and PIF.
Yeah.
If you look at both of those systems, the worst provided price provided by those 2 systems has 5 providers. The best provided price has 31.
Okay, I mean,
it doesn't take a lot of malfeasance to skew those prices.
Yeah.
And this is what I have a biggest issue with, is that people think that there's something securing it. People might assume there's a legal contract.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And in traditional financial markets, when you go to a stockbroker or any type of broker, they have a legal, enshrined in law, responsibility towards you to give, when you execute a trade through them, to give you a price that is fair. It's called, in the UK, it's called best efforts. Oracles in crypto don't have any legal responsibility to give you a good price. There's nothing, they're unregulated. And our point really is that if we're going to move away from legal regulation and everything that entails, including using money that is issued by governments, then we need to do that wholesale, and we need to create models for all of the other applications like oracles that take advantage of the benefits of the structure of decentralization and trustlessness. This is not what is currently happening by and large in the DeFi market.
Okay.
That is what he just said. I don't think people understand, because I feel like you kind of got to be a little bit of a nerd to understand what he said. But pretty much in a nutshell, he said all Oracle providers now don't have the capabilities of doing what needs to be done for large government organizations to pretty much move into this decentralized finance world. Pretty much in a nutshell, if I could just sum that up, right?
Well, here's the thing. I share the same view with centralized exchanges, who all of a sudden go down. They're manipulating this, they're manipulating that. There's a lot of manipulation going on in this space, and I've called out some of that as well. But the problem is people fall in love with these certain assets and they get offended when you start calling out some of this areas of centralization. Let me give you an example. People use the word decentralization loosely. They use interoperability loosely. They use the word Oracle loosely. And what do I mean by loosely? They're not defining it correctly because it's not decentralized enough. It's not secure enough. And I often call Flare the regulator. Why is that? It's because it's keeping the investor safe and it's promoting the capital markets, the growth of capital markets. Okay. That's what decentralization is going to do for us, not using the SEC, as you guys know, that are picking favorites, and they're not presenting this space accurately.
Yeah. I'll say one thing. What I really truly think a lot of people need to come to terms with understanding is that just because there's assets that are here now, doing things now, building systems now, does not guarantee their spot to survive 10 years from now. And so you really have to start to understand that just because a project's doing things well now and whatnot, we are in the process of still figuring out who the survivors are going to be. So don't marry a bias. Don't marry an asset. Just like you said, Carl, I mean, it's very, very tribal in the crypto ecosystem. And I have a very firm feeling that a lot of people, because they're not expansionary in their vision and what could possibly unfold in the future, they're going to be left behind on massive opportunities like Flare because they're so married to some bias of Bitcoin's the know-all be-all or whatever your bias is. You have to be diversified and flexible in this space. And I mean, if you're not, again, you're really honestly only increasing your risk exposure because, you know, I feel like I don't have to break down that diversification is key. If you have all your eggs in one basket and that one basket goes away, then you're bye-bye. You're not a participant anymore. And so it might seem like a lot. Oh, there's Flare, there's XRP, there's XLM, there's HBAR. They do all these things, but like we have to understand that we are headed into a multi-chain environment where thousands of chains, most likely. I understand the narrative at first, like maybe 3-4 years ago, was that we're not going to operate in a multi-chain environment, and having 6,000 different networks and chains operate efficiently is not going to happen. But now, fast forward, we're actually starting to see that that is most likely going to be the case. And there are most likely going to be a very large handful of blockchains and networks that all integrate, coexist, and intermingle together alongside CBDCs, real world assets, stable coins, so on and so forth. And so you can't just have this Bitcoin's the god of all assets, XRP's the god of all assets mentality. You have to be
I'm a very big fan of all of crypto. I don't have anything negative to say about one crypto. I am, however, critical of organizations. I'm critical of institutions like BlackRock, like Circle, like a lot of like Coinbase. Because here's the deal. Every one of those companies that I just mentioned, they are centrally connected to what the problem currently exists. And that's that the people that are under those institutions do not have freedom because they don't have their voice with their assets. The main thing with Flare is the governance model, which allows our assets to give us our voting rights. How is that so? When you have your assets on your wallet and you're using their governance model, your token has a voice. BlackRock wants to be this liquidity hub that is extracting your voice because they're going to go take their wealth to Washington and override your independence. So that's why I'm saying we've got a problem with these institutions to where they are bullying us out of our independence. And the list is huge.
I think that that's another reason too why they don't want us. Everybody thinks that the secret is they don't want us involved in crypto. I don't think it's that at all. I think they don't want us involved in crypto in DeFi because they know
Right.
that it gives us equal access. It opens a door for the
DeFi.
Go ahead.
DeFi is a level playing field.
Exactly.
It gives us the exact same power they have because we are going to borrow, we are going to lend, we are going to make payments peer to peer with our own liquidity, not theirs.
While we're on the topic of a level playing field, let me blow people's minds in full circle. So I've been a part of the XRP community, I guess you could say, since 2017, right? I've been doing XRP Ripple related research since 2017. And what's trending in the XRP army, or at least what used to trend, is this idea of Brad Garlinghouse and President Trump and all these people saying that there's going to be a level playing field, right? Okay, so check this out. Everybody thought that crypto was that level playing field. DeFi is that level playing field. And we can see now what happened on specifically the XRP ledger over the past year. We had the AMM feature launched. We have the ability now to take our XRP provided as a liquidity pair in a liquidity pool and earn passive income off of that. Everybody, so prior to, let's say, 2023 in the XRP army has had this mentality that XRP at some high price is going to make them relatively wealthy when they fiat, right? That is the most idiotic thing I've ever heard now learning DeFi, because I know that it doesn't matter if XRP is $1,000, if it's $100, if it's $1, if it's 50 cents. We as XRP holders or Flare holders or whatever type of asset holder are going to be able to use our assets in the future. In the now, we can do it, but regulated in the future to earn us passive income, which then we can go and sell for the fiat that we want. We never have to sell our digital assets ever.
Right. And I'm very bullish on XRP now that it's coming to Flare any day now, because the benefits to the holders of XRP just go through the roof, especially when you're talking about DeFi, about getting pairs with Bitcoin. I mean, there's a lot of liquidity coming on board. See, one of the things that's really awesome about Flare is the fact that it's going to take the stablecoin issuer and allow them to profit off of DeFi at the same time that they're going to give the token holder of XRP a profit mechanism to earn XRP, right? And they're going to marry those two. No other chain can do that. You're going to marry the liquidity of XRP and marry the liquidity of the institutions, so they both are on a level playing field. They're both going to be earning on their liquidity. This is a perfect setup.
So then, question off of that, since we're on the topic of XRP, because I didn't want to bring it up, but since we're on the topic, we'll get back to Flare in just 1 second. But what do you think that, I don't know how to pose this question. Do you think Flare is a competitor to XRP, or do you think more so that they're going to coexist and help each other grow in the future? Like, how do you think?
Okay, I have a great opinion on that.
So let me hold on, before you get started, Carl. Let me just phrase this. I had somebody say to me, we were talking about how Flare is possibly the new oil. The data is the new oil. Do you think XRP is the gas to this system? Like, how do you see it? Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off, Carl.
Oh, no problem. What I see happening is Flare is actually the portal of which the XRP holder is going to go seek its independence. Okay. And it's going to do that because it's going to give them the same power as Ripple. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to take your liquidity and you're going to earn on that liquidity, just like Ripple's currently doing with stablecoins. Am I putting a negative light on Ripple? No, it's just a factual statement. You're going to be able to have your independence to where you're going to earn on your assets in a decentralized fashion and in a safe fashion. And this is very important to understand. Flare is basically going to allow the XRP holder to compete with the likes of BlackRock, because BlackRock's going to have an XRP ETF. They're going to have Bitcoin ETF. We're going to give Bitcoin. Do you think Bitcoin's better off in the hands of BlackRock or in the hands of Flare as FBTC. Hands down, FBTC wins because it gives that holder of Bitcoin the over collateralized means to participate in DeFi.
Yeah. So I said this earlier this year. I said that I said this back in July when myself and Aqua really started to manifest the reality that DeFi is bringing to the XRP community, because myself and Aqua, we got like heavily involved in Base, in ETH, in Solana DeFi, in you know, all the mature DeFi ecosystems. And then in March, early this year, when the AMM feature was launched, myself and Aqua were like pioneers on the magnetic DEX for the XRPL. I mean, I'm talking about myself and Aqua. We were on that DEX when there was like 100 yield farmers. We got into mag when it was like less than $1,000. It's worth $20,000 now for one token, you know? So myself and Aqua, we got into the XRPL DeFi ecosystem very, very early on. And we were the first ones, I'd say, in the XRP community, honest to God, that started bringing this to people's attention, that we can utilize our XRP now in the DeFi ecosystem, just like ETH holders have been able to do for years now. And what people understand, put the payments niche aside of XRP being utilized in cross-border payments, people don't understand that DeFi brought utility to ETH. And so we can only imagine all of the Ripple partnerships, all the banks, all the large institutions, all the infrastructure that Ripple's been building. It's one of the most traded assets. It sits at the number 4 spot, and it's never had a DeFi ecosystem up until last year to this year. And now that is all changing moving forward. And I've been a big advocate of saying, look, put the payments niche aside. DeFi alone is about the scale, the price of these digital assets, especially as regulatory clarity comes in. And these institutions, just like Aqua said, they're not coming to buy and hodl. They want to come and earn yield on these assets, especially in their ETF portfolios. Their ETFs are going to be able to be staked to earn yield. And I mean, so what you were talking about, Carl, this F asset. So if you guys that don't know, this is from December 3rd, 2024, from the Flare website. F assets on Songbird and then Flare, starting with XRP. F assets are an over-collateralized bridging mechanism aimed at allowing cryptocurrencies that don't natively support smart contracts to be used with smart contracts. Initially, F assets will target XRP, Doge, and Bitcoin, later expanding to other non-smart contracts. So, I mean, this is literally going to open the floodgates of liquidity over the next consecutive couple of years to be locked on the XRPL over time. I mean, if you just go look at the TVL locked on the XRPL compared to an ecosystem like the ETH ecosystem, it's peanuts. It's peanuts compared to what's coming. So
right now, Flare is over. They're like in 5th place for TVL growth over all the chains, and any token under $1 billion in market cap. And the growth is going to be exponentially larger once you talk about F assets, because once again, you have to provide an incentive for the institutional stablecoin operator plus the token holder. So these two get married, and this equals exponential growth when you're putting profit on both sides of the aisle, not just one side of the aisle. And this is what's going to give explosive TVL growth.
So Flare just launched their, I don't want to say just launched their DeFi ecosystem, but it became very prominent this year. Like we had Scepter launch on Flare this year. We had the Spark Dex officially launched this year in 2024. So lots of growth, and I've been following it. They just reached major milestones, like most recently, of TVL explosive growth in the past couple of months. So like, just let's put Flare aside, just DeFi in general, and then we'll kind of more so talk about DeFi on Flare in particular, but just broad concept for skeptics out there or individuals that kind of, and I kind of, Aqua, I want you to answer this question too, as after Carl, and give me your opinion as well. But how would you, in just one way, one thing from each of you, one thing from Carl, one thing from Aqua, how would you address the skeptics and the uncertain newcomers that are coming into DeFi? Where do you all think the future of DeFi is headed? Yeah, so like if there was a skeptic coming in, like maybe there's an individual in the Wealth 28 club that's trying to show a family member, or like, you know, just in general, where do you think DeFi is headed in the future, and why, and how would you ease their skepticism? Like what would you say to them in a sense?
But, you know, when I talk about this stuff, I get excited. So like you can earn yield with your digital assets. That like most people just know, you know, crypto, and most people that are in crypto, they just use their crypto as if it's like a stock, right? And maybe the only thing that they're doing is holding it on cold storage. But like, you know, this is how I would open up to people. This is how I just talked to my little brother the other day, and I'm like, look, this crypto is deeper than just it being crypto. These things are digital assets. We can earn passive income with these things. I was like, do you understand like the worth of these things? Like in the future, like the next 1,000 years, we're going to be earning yield. So that means we can keep it in our family tree. And it's just like, you know, hearing that word, because it's like, you know, when David Schwartz is on stage, he's using big words like arbitrage, and that word just goes right over the top of people's heads, and they're like, arbitrage, like, let me continue to drink my my mixed drink here and not understand a lick of what he was saying. But like, this is all about DeFi. I mean, the XRPL is built for DeFi. You know, they have certain tech that exists inside the XRPL that helps mitigate against impermanent loss. So it's just like, yo, what else is this XRPL going to be used for? But like in the future, what I'm going to see, what I would like to see, and what I think we're going to see as a whole is DeFi is just going to get easier. Yeah, there's going to be, you know, those opportunities that are very, very lucrative. But again, those opportunities are only going to be for those who are doing the research, much like ourselves here on this call. But most of DeFi in the future will be easily accessible. It won't be like jumping through this hoop and that hoop. And, you know, just hearing what like the collaboration with Ripple XRP and Axelar and what they got going on as far as connecting to every single chain. And you always hear David Schwartz, interoperability. Like these guys know that like it takes, you know, a certain mindset to be moving and grooving in DeFi and earning right now. It's not like the average Joe hears this shit, gets it, and then just starts earning in DeFi. Like, no, like this is a you know, this, you got to let it unfold and let yourself understand it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to
you cooked it. You cooked it, bro. Heck yeah.
So,
you cooked it.
Yeah, man. That's
You absolutely cooked it. Carl, go ahead. Take it away, brother. What's your future outlook? What would you say to the skeptics?
Well, the days of the anchor bag and pump and dump schemes are over. Okay. Yeah, it's important to take profits, and that's what we've seen the last 7-8 years is, okay, everybody's going to hype the token, it's going to pump, and then you dump, right? And you go buy your Lambo. This is a totally different space now, because you're going to be able to take that liquidity, and you're going to be able to earn on that liquidity. Flare has incentivized people to start using Flare, as you know, with flare drops. And those flare drops are open to anybody that wants to put liquidity into FLR and wrap their FLR. And those flare drops are substantial. Now, in addition to that, Scepter can take that same model and even ease it even further for you, because you don't have to decide who your favorite signal provider is. They automatically delegate you to a signal provider. They also stake with the rewards and give you your flare drops. But I have an even bigger announcement to make with Scepter, which gives them the leg up on what we all have been waiting forever on, which is borrowing. Now, Kinetics came online with Flare, and they had the Jewel token, which would allow people to use their liquidity into DeFi and borrow on it. But this new partner sheds a lot of light on a new and if you would like, I can share my screen.
Well, I'll let you share your screen to add on to that. But so I just wanted to, while we're on the topic, what you said just now about OGs and their perspective in the markets about how it's like a pump and dump. Like, you're absolutely right, Carl. I really truly think, and because Akil was talking about being on a call earlier with Grant and what's the other guy's, what's Gary Cardone, right?
Gary Cardone, yeah.
Gary Cardone, and how they have this mentality of that they're just going to hold and then eventually sell for some high price. That's so like 2021 to 2017 mindset. You know, things have changed. The bear market since 2021, and coming out of that, so much infrastructure and so many partnerships and so many new technological innovations have been enshrined into this digital ecosystem that if you're not paying attention to a niche like DeFi, like you're honestly going to miss out on so much massive opportunity in the future to hold and maintain your wealth in the digital system and never have to get out of the new digital system. Like there's going to be a lot of people, unfortunately, that sell for fiat and get stuck back in the traditional system. And so if I was to say something to the skeptics, to the naysayers, understand that we're in the midst of a fourth industrial revolution. If you go back and you look at historical research, every industrial revolution, there's a certain onset of people. There are innovators, there are pioneers, there are people that move with the tide, and then there's people that don't. And you don't want to be one of the people that don't. I'm going to just say that right out flat.
Yeah,
because
let me give you a parallel. Let me give you a parallel to that point, okay? I was pre-internet, and I was before HTML. Well, when HTML came out, one of the big lures was pornography.
Mm-hmm.
Well, evidently, all they would talk about in the news is how, okay, the internet's only good for porn and illicit activity, right? So we're evolving the same way in crypto. And what is the big lure now? Well, meme coins, because people love green candles. And when they see, oh my God, look at all this money that's, you know, this coin is pumping. Well, it's still a pump and dump lure in order to get people to participate in crypto. But crypto is so much more than that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And the sad part is all these OGs, all these people with a large following in this space that are still living in the 2017, 2021 pump and dump era, they're still having that mindset. So they're not doing this type of in-depth research. So they don't even know. It's kind of crazy hearing them talk. They don't even know that DeFi exists or that it's even possible. Even some OGs in the CYPRX community are not, not the CYPRX community, the XRP community are still like completely delusional to the fact that we can do these things with our assets. It's crazy.
Let me give you another parallel. If you asked somebody 3 years ago to have the Federal Reserve spit out the word Bitcoin, they would have called you crazy. But what did the Fed actually do? Just admitted that Bitcoin's not a threat. So we are becoming mainstream. The Fed is actually telling you that it's no threat. And now all we got to do is get them to spit out the words flare, which they will. They will. It takes time for the world to catch up to us people, okay? We're a lot smarter than the BlackRocks and, you know, the world that's trying to push us away, you know?
So since you mentioned that, do you think that in the future you will see more mentions of Fledge? Because just like I said, you know, the fact that Hugo Filion called out, not necessarily directly called out, like said that Chainlink sucks, but pretty much in a nice way said, hey, look, like the current Oracle systems, they're kind of not scalable and not capable of doing what Flare can do. Do you think that Flare will be
they know about Flare? It's just getting them to say the words. For instance, let me give an example. An ex Swift guy has created what's called Spend the Bits. Well, Spend the Bits originally partnered with Ripple to create a good payment system on the XRPL. Well, one of the complaints that their users had was this balance that they had to keep on their wallets. Well, that and some other advantages to payments birthed to the partnership with Flare. Well, since Flare is now being used by Spend the Bits, what does that tell you? That tells you that they know about Flare. I'm talking about Swift, and who knows Swift? The banks. So they all know about Flare. They're not going to talk about Flare because Flare is a lot more than payments. Flare is about DeFi, and DeFi is something that these guys are scared to death of, okay? Because you don't need BlackRock. So what is XRP? It's basically a BlackRock ETF, only a decentralized ETF, okay? Because it's a derivative, right? So FXRP is a derivative of XRP. It's 1-to-1 in value. That means you can go back and forth from smart contract to back to your XRP anytime. You can get it back for the same value as what you're using in the DeFi application. You're not having to sell into that sidechain token like you do with, let's say, Corium or Solo. You're actually using your XRP in real time in a decentralized way to access DeFi.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with you on that, because so how you kind of said that you think that these elite organizations know about Flare. I think that you're right, because so I'll give you an example, and I always just like to put my money where my mouth is and put pieces of the puzzle together. So
Yeah.
Flare just announced this partnership with Red Date Technology. Okay, so let me just read a little bit about this, because and why it's important. You have to understand that on the Red Date website, it literally says that they don't do business unless it's with a regulated blockchain. Okay. And so on November 8th, 2024, Red Date Technology, together with China Mobile Open Wallet Foundation, IDA, Flare, and Terminal 3, successfully demonstrated the world's first cross-border zero PII, or personal identifiable information, KYC trial powered by China's Real ID, right? And it says, for groundbreaking use cases were unveiled, DID-based cross-border identity infrastructure. And it says right here that this is literally the National Identity Citizens Database, China's Real ID or Real DID, and you can see Flare doing work with them. So like you said, it's like almost as if what's the word I'm looking for? They're not just going to come out and be like, "Hey guys, Flare's regulated. They're using Flare. Here it is." Just like we had to pick apart the pieces of the puzzle for Ripple and XRP, and just now over the past maybe 2 years max, XRP is starting to slowly start to become more mainstream. I think that that's going to happen as well for other digital assets that are partnered with large organizations like this, but it's going to take some time. And for now, we're going to have to pick up pieces of the puzzle, because they're not just going to openly tell us, just like at the beginning, they didn't openly tell us, hey, XRP and Ripple are in bed with some of the world's largest institutions. Back in 2017, when I was doing research on Ripple and XRP, it got no mainstream attention. Nobody knew that it was partnered with all these organizations except the deep researchers. So just like now, just like now, we're going to have to do research on picking apart the pieces of the puzzle that Flare is going to be a big market participant. I mean, you don't just get access to these types of partnerships if you're not operating in a regulated environment.
Yeah, it's important to ask people, what exactly are you doing with your tokens? You still got them on a ledger? You're missing out, because there's a whole world out there of decentralized applications that you're not involved in.
So we'll use that talking point to transition. So let's get back to DeFi on Flare. So I really want to. We were talking about Scepter, right? We were talking about this platform here. We'll get into that. I kind of just want to get into DeFi on Flare. Could you kind of share for someone listening and that's new to the Flare ecosystem, kind of how you can utilize your Flare, maybe just like a basic beginner strategy, what you can do with your Flare, how you can take it over to this platform, liquid stake it, get the native liquid staking token, and then take that token and go and deploy it in the Flare ecosystem to earn additional yield. Kind of just maybe talk a little bit about that. And then maybe we'll get into some risk mitigation and stuff like that, and maybe some strategies that you're partaking in.
Yeah, so with your Flare, you can natively do a ton of things. And when I say natively, I'm talking about, just wrapping your Flare, participating in staking on the network. You can, once you wrap your Flare, you get the Flare drops for another year yet. Okay. Then there's layer 2s. So layer 2s are built on top of the layer 1, which is Flare. And that allows you a whole plethora of other use cases. Now, Scepter came out with a product, liquid staking. So now you can take your wrap Flare or your Flare, whatever, because they wrap it for you, to be honest with you. And you can do what's called minting this SFLR, which allows you to stake onto their platform. Now, it's very important to understand you are the custodian while you're earning this yield. So you're going to get the APR, and in addition to APR, you're going to get an APY. APY is the APR plus the compounding. Now, what else can you do with SFLR? A lot, because SFLR allows you to migrate, and this is what gives it the liquid portion of its name, because you're actually involved with projects outside of Scepter, because you can now take your SFLR to Kinetics, which is another application, a borrowing lending application, get involved in DeFi over there. You can supply over on Kinetics. You can take it to Enosis and supply over on Enosis. You can also swap on these dexes. You can also take your Scepter over to Spark Dex and be involved with usage LPs and other borrowing and lending. Yep, over there. But now there's something new coming about in 6 days, which I'm really excited about, which is allowing you to borrow against your SFLR, okay, without the application within your wallet. Now it's called Cyclone. If you go to cyclone.finance, you will see what's about to release with your Scepter.
Let me pull it out. Do you have it all open on your screen? I can add you. I can add your screen.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, here. Let me add you to the drop. Click down at the bottom. Click present screen, and that'll bring up your screen. Just make sure you don't have any sensitive information pulled up.
Sure. So, is there a way I can see you guys too, or do you see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So really, what does this Cyclo token do? Okay. There's no liquidations. There is no custodial. There is no governance. You're always solvent. You have zero fees, and it's completely permissionless. What do you get? You keep earning your staking rewards while accessing leverage. Trade and invest with market capital completely liquidation free. You can never be liquidated because you're borrowing your own capital. Unwind your position at your pace and no forced sells ever. Zero fees or minting or burning. How it works. You lock your S-Flare to mint this CYS Flare. And by the way, look at the CY, and you guys have your name, okay? Is that a coincidence? Maybe. So you're going to trade your CYS Flare for any asset you want. You want to buy XRP? Go ahead. You'll be able to swap for it right on your Bifrost wallet. When you're ready to buy CYS Flare and burn it to unlock your S Flare. So this is how you retrieve your own S-Flare that you put up as collateral, because you're locking it up. Okay, so it's basically backed by your own SFLR, freely tradable in any open market. The price moves with market demand for leverage. Natural price cycles create trading opportunities, and backed by your own S-Flare value, and it is not algorithmic. So what do you think?
Yeah, this seems like a massive opportunity right there. I mean, obviously, of course, there's a layer of education that individuals are going to need to go through to even understand how to operate on this platform efficiently and effectively. But I completely agree with you. I mean, the ability that you have in the Flare ecosystem with your S Flare while your original Flare, that's what people don't even understand about this, is that is that you're using, so starting off at the very beginning on Scepter, you go and you take your Flare, your original Flare, you put it on that platform to return S Flare, and your original Flare is earning yield the entire time you're operating on all these other platforms with the S Flare that you have. And so if you, for example, just talking strategies, this is the way that I see it. This is the way that I think I'm going to be utilizing my Flare to begin with, just right off the bat, is I'm going to come over to a platform, and I'm just, again, Carl, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the process that I personally see myself using. So I would come to this platform here, Scepter, stake my Flare, get the liquid staking token back, and start earning 43% plus the Flare drops on my staked Flare, right? And then I would come over, and I have now S Flare, which is the liquid staking token of Scepter, and I can utilize that in the whole entire pretty much Flare ecosystem. So here on the Scepter website in the FAQ section, you have all of the platforms that Carl was just mentioning, Kinetics, where you can borrow, you can lend, so on and so forth. And each different platform has different features. This is the DEX. SparkDEX is probably where I'm going to be utilizing the majority of my liquidity. He talked about Cyclo just then, XDefi. Okay, so go through. We're going to probably make individual video breakdowns on each one of these sections. But what I plan on doing is I plan on coming over here to SparkDEX. And what I like, the feature that I've saw most prominent, again, because I like to take a mitigated and permanent loss and a mitigation to my risk exposure, is I'm going to come over here to the farms, and I want to be taking my S Flare. You can probably swap it out. Yes, there's a swap feature up here. And I'll probably enter into some of these stablecoin pools, right? I mean, you got stablecoin pools right here that are earning, or farms that are earning 31%, you know? So, I mean, imagine if you have $1 million, and again, I'm not saying that everybody does, but just think of the numbers, okay? If you come and you put $1 million on Scepter worth of Flare, that's earning 43%. They then give you pretty much the same amount, the same value, except in S Flare, and then you can take that replicated, technically speaking, $1 million, except it's now in S Flare, and you can come and you can deploy it in the Flare ecosystem. So imagine taking that $1 million of S Flare, splitting it, and parking it into this farm in stable coins. And then you're earning 39% on another $1 million. I mean, come on now, people. I don't understand how people, I'm right, Carl? That's what you can do, correct? Am I?
Yeah, no,
It's a
you're
lot
correct, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, bud.
No, liquid staking gives you that opportunity to double dip like that, and that's what goes over a lot of people's heads. Like, and I know that because it went over my head at first. Like, I didn't understand liquid staking right at the moment. I thought that was just like a cool, fancy name, but like the fact that we get the double dip and Flare's giving us this opportunity, and I was just thinking of this as well, side by side, Flare to Link. I don't see any opportunity right now for Link with this opportunity that Flare has.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the Link. I know that the Link DeFi ecosystem, they built out a lot of infrastructure, but I don't know the specific platforms that you can use Link on. So I'm not educated enough to speak on that or agree with you. But I mean, for sure, bro. I mean, this is opportunity provided by Flare is insane, and the fact that it's all new is crazy to me. I mean, a lot of this launched this year, so that's another reason why a lot of people don't know that it exists. Which just gives us a better, a kind of more so pioneer user advantage to really come up, while Flare is only for 3 cents right now. I mean, that's the crazy part. So that's just kind of a little overview. I don't want to go into too much detail. Maybe Carl, just kind of briefly kind of talk about maybe a strategy that you're using. Is there a way that users can kind of mitigate impermanent loss? Is a stable coin strategy on the SparkDEX a smart way to mitigate impermanent loss? Well, let me put it this way. So just like, I don't know, what strategies are you taking to participate in the ecosystem? Kind of maybe talk through how you've got your capital working for you, to just kind of a new listener that's tuning in, or maybe how you're going about mitigating impermanent loss.
Yes. So, several of these version 3s have vastly improved because you can take risk off the table. But as you take the risk off the table, obviously the yield is less. So like you take Enosis and you take SparkDex, they have different layers of risk. In other words, there's a trading range, and Raindex, which we didn't even talk about, which is huge because they're taking their trading right on the chain. And if you got time, we can talk about that because that's massive. That's a totally different structure. And
Oh no, 100%.
You can see the benefits to that once you pull it up, where you're able to eliminate some of that. But getting back to the LP trade pools, I am not participating on so many of them because I had a lot. I've been on this chain for 2 years prior to Flare, which has already been a year. Okay, no, 2 years. So I've got 2 years of Flare experience and 2 years of Songbird experience in addition to that. So 4 years total on this chain. And it was a disaster when it first came out, obviously, because these things are experimental. And in 4 years, they vastly improved the user experience, not just the UI, which is the user interface, but they've mitigated the risks, especially in the LP situation. So,
okay,
yeah, the early LPs, you're basically rugged, on one side of the token. You see, you got these fluctuating values. So impermanent loss in the early days was pretty bad, substantial. But like I've said, these new arrangements are vastly improved. But me right now, I single-sided stake, and I love Scepter because Scepter takes a lot of the no-brainer out of it. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm on Kinetics. I'm supplying on Kinetics. I'm supplying on Enosis. I'm supplying on Scepter, and I'm probably
this platform Kinetics, because I had an individual ask in the chat, kind of what does supply mean? Like, kind of, could you briefly go over what does that mean? So this is where you got your S flare from Scepter that you got from providing your staking, your original flare, and now you're over here. You've taken that, you've connected your Bifrost, excuse me, I keep calling it Bifrost wallet to this application, and so what does it mean when you go and you supply your S flare to this platform? What do you get? What do the rewards look like? And kind of what are the
you get paid in many different ways in addition to what you're already getting with the S flare. You're now getting the key token, you're getting the jewel token just for supplying. Forget about the LP. This is just a supply, liquidity. Okay. So you're going to get the key token, you're going to get the jewel token, plus you're going to qualify for the VC rewards, which is in terms of our flare, which you get rewarded on the dashboard, the Flare dashboard. Mm-hmm. They have a Flare portal. I don't know if you're familiar with that yet. That's where the governance takes place. If you want to pull up the Flare portal, we can go through that. That's where you get your FLR rewards.
I would love to. Can you share your screen if you don't mind? Would you be able to put it up?
Yeah, let me see if I've got that up.
Just so that way it's easier for you to navigate it instead of trying to break it down for me. You already know the platform. Let me stop sharing screen. I'm definitely going to look into Kinetics. I feel like SparkDex was a little bit easier for me to understand because I'm more familiar with DEXs. But this platform definitely looks appetizing as well. I'll definitely be jumping into the docs on that and be reading through how to navigate the Kinetic platform.
Can you see that?
Yeah. So how do you get to this portal, by the way? Like, what's the web browser handle for it?
That is called flare.portal.
Okay. And does this just connect? You just connect to like your Bifrost wallet, and that's how it is able to read everything in your.
Yeah, what this is Flare's back office that allows you governance. They also handle the the staking and your account.
Okay.
Let me pull that back up because I'm not able to. I did the screen share, but then I lost it. I got too much stuff. Can you see that now?
We can see that you're on the Flare portal.
Actually, you know why I can't screen share this is because my wallet is not connected. So I'll just basically open my wallet here and show you. That's what it is. I can't open my wallet there. Okay.
Okay, I see. So it would come up, it would show the interface once your wallet is connected, pretty much is what you're saying.
Yes, because we have a browser built into our wallet. Okay, let me connect to it. Okay, so you got right here. Let me show you. You've got this here. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, let me stop the scare. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you can see you've got delegation account, main account, you got emissions. What you want is emissions. So when you pick emissions, you can see right here, select a project. So I can say Kinetics or SparkDex, see all the companies there that are part of this our Flare.
Yeah.
So I can go Kinetics, and then once a month I get rewarded on that. See, I've got a claim of 76 right now.
So what is this application you downloaded on your phone? This is the Bifrost wallet that you have right here?
That is I'm showing you the Bifrost wallet, and I'm showing you that I've connected my Flare portal to my wallet in the wallet browser.
So what people don't understand is that Flare built into their Bifrost wallet pretty much the ability for you to connect to these Web 2 applications and see them on the wallet itself. So you can pretty much see the portal, the Flare network portal on your Bifrost wallet because they have a connecting Web 2 interface that connects to the wallet. Is pretty much because I'm trying to imagine somebody that doesn't understand what you just showed them, what you were just explaining to them. So
yeah, it really is a very user-friendly interface. I can tell you that. It's so easy to use.
Okay. So pretty much in a nutshell, the step-by-step that someone would need to have the Bifrost wallet and then go and connect it to the Flare portal in order to see what you just showed us, correct?
Yeah, because you're going to be voting with your liquidity. This is unlike BlackRock, who wants to, influence Washington with your own money. And that's a conflict that you want to vote with your own money, not with, someone else telling you how to, what your position is. So yeah, that's the beautiful thing of Flare is you're actually, participating democratically with your liquidity. You have a say in the network.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is not at the validator level. This is at our wallet level.
Level playing field.
Yeah.
Level playing.
Yes, exactly. That's how we vote, right in our wallet with our own liquidity.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely, Carl, we're going to have to spend some time together, my friend, because there's so much more that I have questions about, but we're already into an hour into this video. So we'll have to set up some time at a later date to connect with each other. But I can't thank you enough for the information that you've shared. I know that you had a couple of other things. I don't know if you wanted to bring anything to the table. I did want to ask you, there's been this like rumor ever since we started talking about Flare in our community that there's this like secret asset or something like that called APS. I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to share about that. Maybe about the scale. I know by the smile on your face, you got something crazy to say. So I've heard crazy things about it for the fact like that it's super scarce. There's only like 15,000 of them ever minted or something like that.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I can tell you about that. That's an Enosis product. Okay, Enosis is the OG of Flare. They started off on Songbird day one, and they're a DEX, and they have governance tokens, two of them, one on Songbird and one on Flare. Okay. The one on Songbird, you've probably heard, is SFIN. SFIN has a supply of 11,000 tokens. And mind you, there's only like 3,000 of them in circulation. And my speculation is most of it's bought.
Wow.
And that token gets rewards on their DEX. Okay. Now they have the apps token, APS, which has 15,000 tokens, but that's on the Flare network. And that too is the main governance token for Enosis. So what's the big benefit? Let me tell you the benefit. Okay. I don't know if you ever heard of Pangolin. If you look at Pangolin, they have a separate token for each DEX. So if they're a multi-chain DEX.
Okay.
So they have a separate token for each DEX. What that does is that strips liquidity out of the tokens. Whereas Enosis apps token, they're going to connect every single chain with what's called APY cloud. Now, Enosis is going to have a DEX over on Ethereum, over on Avalanche. And my point is, once they connect all these chains with the APY cloud, the main token is going to be the apps token in order to collect those fees for those participating in the LP pools on Enosis. So yeah.
So let me just put it this way. If I wanted to go on Get Enosis, what I would need to do is obviously, of course, have my Bifrost wallet, connect it to this DEX.
Yep.
And I'm assuming on this DEX, there's a swap feature where I could swap Flare or any other asset for the APS token itself.
That's really important because you're not going to be able to get the apps token on an exchange. It is a DEX token, and the supply is managed over there. This is very important, and you want that, to protect.
And you can house this asset on your Bifrost wallet, correct?
Absolutely, like you can any of the other assets.
So very simplistic. If anybody, and again, not financial advice, I know that I'm probably going to go look into getting myself some of this. I'm assuming it's quite expensive. It's what, $2,000 for one of them right now?
Right now, yeah, its all-time low was around $850 for US dollar, but its low was actually tradable with 52,000 Flare. I picked up a bag of apps at 52,000 Flare. It's now hovering around 63,000 Flare. And
that's it?
Yeah.
I'm going to get some right now.
Bud, I'm telling you right now, this is a very key. Now, this conversation, as you know, is pre-F assets. I don't need to tell you how much liquidity is going to onboard Flare in the terms of FBTC, FDOGE, and FXRP. Now, what are they into? Well, they're obviously going to be into scarcity, and you can't find a better, scarcer token than the apps token right now with maximum liquidity behind it.
Yeah. So I'm, very simplistic, very easy step to go and grab yourself some of this. At the end of the day, if you're watching this recording, it might be late, 6 months after watching this recording. The time of recording this, by the way, is December 11th, 2024. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Anyways, yeah, this is Carl. We're going to need to have some deeper conversations, my friend. But this is very, very interesting. A lot to unpack here. I'm super excited about this ecosystem, the Flare network in itself, and just learning about it and diving into these different platforms that we can go and, again, just get our assets working for us. I think that that's the main takeaway. I'll just wrap it up with this, and maybe we'll have another call with Carl. I know that I'll have some behind the scenes calls with Carl, but
exciting times.
Yeah, this is a very, very detailed transformation, and there's an opportunity to be had for individuals that want to put in the elbow grease and do the research and read the FAQs and the documents on these platforms. Take the time. Don't rush into this process. Learn the ecosystems that you're involved in and digital assets in which you hold, and don't just be the type of person that knows what you hold and actually know the in and outs of what you hold and how you can utilize it to your benefit in this digital ecosystem. So I don't know if you have anything else, Carl, but I'll let that be the recording for today. This was so much juice, so much good information to just unpack as just kind of an introductory video to Flare and the capabilities that it has and what, you know, we could potentially see moving forward. I don't know if you had any kind of ending words that you wanted to say to maybe some people that might be watching this recording at a later date.
Yeah, I do. Just basically that the DeFi applications that Flare is going to allow you to do, it basically, you're never going to find a third party. You're always going to be in control of your assets. You're going to engage in DeFi activity, and basically Flare becomes the regulator. Because what is the regulator's job? The regulator's job is to capital formation and protect the investor. And I'll leave it at that. Flare is the regulator.
Really like that. Flare is the regulator, and I believe that data is the new oil, and Flare is the blockchain for data. So I'll leave it with that. Carl, I do appreciate your time, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit end recording here, but it'll allow us to stay on the call after I end the recording, so we can just kind of free talk. So with that being said, everybody, thank you guys so much for tapping in. If you're listening to this as a recording on YouTube, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. We do appreciate the love and the support. If you're listening to this as a Wealth 28 Club member, then after this, you have a whole series of video breakdowns following this one to dive into on the Flare ecosystem that myself and some of the other mentors in the CYPRX Wealth 28 Club created for you guys. Make sure that you dive in, take an educational, mature approach. Many blessings to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next recording.